Good morning, students. We'll start our lecture 12 on factor affecting crop water requirement. Which all the factors will determine the water requirement of the crop. So we have classified those factors into the crop factor, the soil factor, the climatic factor, and the agronomic management factor. This is very important with respect to your ARS mains descriptive exam, which determines your ranking. The crop water requirement is depend upon these four factors. The first factor is the crop factor. What are the crop factor? The first is variety. Variety with a higher water use efficiency perform better under the lower water requirement. The variety has a very important role in overcoming the stress under water stress condition, and that determines the water requirement of a crop. The next, growth stages. So during a fundamental course, we have studied the various growth stages of the crop: the seedling stage, vegetative phase, reproductive stage, senescence stage, that is lag phase, log phase, exponential growth phase. During the exponential growth phase, the water requirement of the crop is very high, right? So that determines the water requirement of a crop. For an example, if we see the crown root initiation in wheat, we call it as high irrigation sensitive stage. You have to apply the irrigation during that period. If you don't apply, you will get a drastic reduction in the yield of a crop. Similarly, in groundnut, peg initiation stage and peg penetration stage, flowering stage in most of the crop we consider as a most important stage during the water requirement of a crop. The next is duration. The smaller the duration, lesser the water requirement of the crop. Greater the duration, higher is the water requirement of the crop. For an example, green gram water requirement is just 350 to 500 mm, whereas sugarcane, a year crop, required around 2500 mm of water. Then plant population. Higher the plant density, higher is the competition for the water requirement, higher is the water requirement of a crop. Lower the plant density or optimum plant density is the optimum water requirement or lower water requirement of a crop. Then crop growing. Crop growing season. Generally, summer season crop, higher evapotranspiration, more water requirement, whereas Kharif season, lower evapotranspiration, lower water requirement. So, the crop factor determines the water requirement of a crop. The next is soil factor. What are the soil factor? We have studied about the soil properties. The soil properties determine the water requirement of a crop. First is the structure. What is structure? Structure refers to the arrangement of the soil particle. Generally, the platy structure, the water movement is low, whereas crumbly structure is the ideal condition for the crop growth. So, the structure crumbly plays a very important role in increasing the water holding capacity of the soil, increases the water, reduces the water requirement of a crop. The next is texture, that the relative proportion of sand, silt, and clay. Generally, ideal soil with loamy texture we consider as the best for the crop growth, as sandy soil, low water holding capacity, increases the water requirement of the crop. So clayey soil generally generally prone to the erosion of water, which results in again wastage of water. So loamy soil with a really equal proportion of sand, silt, and clay is ideal for the crop growth. The next is depth of the soil. More the depth of the soil, higher is the water infiltration, higher is the water holding capacity of the soil. So the requirement of additional irrigation is less, so it increases the water use efficiency. Topography. Generally, the leveled topography, the water requirement is lower. The slopey topography, most of the water gets lost to erosion, the water requirement is higher. Then soil chemical composition. So generally, the certain elements present in the soil which determines the water holding capacity of the soil, which determine the soil structural properties. So such composition also determine the water holding capacity of the soil. The next is climatic factors. Climatic factors is another most important which determines the water requirement of a crop. For example, the first is temperature. So the higher the temperature, higher is the crop evapotranspiration, so resulted in higher water requirement. Sunshine hour, higher the sunshine hour, more or longer duration of sunshine hour, higher is the loss of water, higher is the crop water requirement. Then relative humidity, higher the relative humidity, lower the evapotranspiration or lower the water requirement. Lower the relative humidity, higher the evapotranspiration, higher is the crop water requirement. Wind velocity. See, wind velocity moves the moisture from one place to another, that increases the water requirement of the crop. So lower or steady wind flow, lower is the water requirement. High wind intensity increases the water requirement of a crop. So rainfall, which is one of the most important parameter, determines the water requirement of the crop, which we call it as effective rainfall. So higher the effective rainfall, lower is the water requirement. Lower the effective rainfall, higher is the water requirement. Then apart from these factors, there is another most important factor which is manageable, that is the agronomic management factors. The irrigation method or irrigation scheduling. The scientific scheduling reduces the water requirement of the crop. The drip irrigation has efficiency of 19% because of scientific scheduling as compared to that of improper methods. Then frequency of irrigation. Irrigating at sensitive stage. Irrigation whenever crop is required increases the reduces the crop water requirement. Then tillage and other cultural operations such as weeding, mulching and intercropping generally improves the water holding capacity of the soil. It reduces the crop water requirement. Most important with respect to exam point of view, factor affecting the crop water requirement. The next will, after understanding the factors are meant to increase the efficiency. We'll talk about the water use efficiency and factor affecting it. What is water use efficiency? It refers to the yield divided by evapotranspiration. So generally in this class we discuss about the major efficiency, followed by we'll deal with individual efficiency in next lecture. So what is use efficiency? It is a ratio of yield divided by evapotranspiration expressed in kg per hectare mm. This is very important unit, the kg per hectare mm. It is the ratio of yield to the evapotranspiration, and we have divided it into two types of water use efficiency: crop water use efficiency and field water use efficiency. Crop water use efficiency is the ratio of yield of the crop to the amount of water lost in evapotranspiration, whereas field water use efficiency, it is the ratio of water used in the field, including in other word water requirement we consider to be as a field water use efficiency. That is total water you have supplied to that field for the crop production, including the losses. Then what are the factors affecting the water use efficiency? It is quite similar to the water requirement. The nature of the crop, soil moisture, plant population, climatic condition, fertilizer, management practices determines the water use efficiency of the crop. Better the water use crop, better is the use efficiency. Rice water use efficiency is 3.5 kg per hectare mm, whereas the ragi water use efficiency is 13.4 kg per hectare mm. So this is the depend upon the nature of a crop, moisture, high moisture holding capacity, higher water use efficiency. Then next, the plant population. Higher plant population, higher water used optimally, higher water use efficiency. The next, climatic condition. Generally, the summer climate where water loss is major, the water use efficiency is lesser. And the fertilizer requirement, higher fertilizer requirement, good growth of the crop, increasing the yield of the crop, higher water use efficiency. Management practices, various agronomic practices which play a very important role in improving the water use. So it increases the yield of the crop, it decreases the evapotranspiration losses, it increases the water use efficiency. Thank you for the hearing. Next lecture will deal with different irrigation efficiency. Thank you.